UFC Shanghai, Johnny Walker versus Mingyang Zhang. This is the weigh-in recap. I'm going to take a look at each fighter after they stepped on the scales. Did have a slight, somewhat fight cancellation. Now it's back on at a catch weight between the co-main event with Brian Ortega and Aljamain Sterling. A lot of weird stuff going on around this card. But we will get to that fight when we get to it. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into the weigh-in recap. Starting it off with the first fight of the night, we got NURGOZHAY taking on SATYBALDIEV. I have been picking Iran all week, and I'm going to stick with my pick. This could be a really good bounce back for DR. I'm not going to say, Iran's going to run through him, but I do see the height and the reach giving him a lot of issues. 79 inches to 74 is a big, discrepancy, especially with, like I mentioned to you guys on the breakdown, that twitch that DR likes to do. I could definitely see him, covering. He twitches at his nose, but it also covers his eyes well. I can see Iran time in that. It's a really bad mechanic that I hope that, it's something that he gets rid of. Similar to Diego Lopez. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he also like scratches at his chin before he engages in his striking arsenal as well. But back to this fight, I do like, the pressure that Iran throws. He's pretty large of a man as well. Did fight at heavyweight last time out against Martin Buday. He lost the decision, but he did drop Buday and had him in trouble late in that fight. Showed me that, on short notice, he still had the gas to go and, hurt a pretty big heavyweight. Martin Buday is like 6'5". I want to say he was damn near 300 pounds probably that night, probably like 280, 270, somewhere around there. Yeah, Buday is 6'4", weighs in around 266 for that last fight, but definitely a larger man in DR. But I will say, a good thing that DR NURGOZHAY made weight this time around, came in at 205.5. I am looking for a better performance from him, so I'm not upset with people picking him or, throwing money on him. I get it, but this is a pretty solid matchup. Both of these guys 0-1 in the UFC. We need to see more out of both of them, but I am going to lean with my first decision, and that's going to be Iran SATYBALDIEV. Let's get to the scales. Here's DR, came in 205.5, looked a lot better than he did, in his debut. So I am expecting a better performance. I don't know if he gets a win, though. That's the only thing. Here's Iran. Looked the same as, he looks a little more cut up. You can see the abs coming through than he did on the short notice fight. Here's the face-off. You can see the height advantage. Can't really tell the reach because they got their flags covering. But I think Iran could put the pressure on him, man, and sting him with some pretty good shots. DR does like to counter. I don't know if the counter is going to be there for him in this matchup. Pretty solid matchmaking. Could either be, one-way traffic, could be a solid fight. Who knows what we're getting from both of these guys who are 0-1. But like I said, the pressure, the gas that I saw from Iran definitely puts him, I like what I saw from him than DR NURGOZHAY in his debut. Got dropped in the first round, got submitted by Ribeiro in the second round. Definitely, not a good look for his debut. And he was pretty, I want to say he was damn near 4-1 odds in that first matchup. See if I could pull it up. Yeah, he was minus 400 in that matchup against Brandon Ribeiro, and he totally shit the bed. But I'm going with Iran. I think he's going to look better than he did in his first matchup. And I think he could win a decision here. Not saying he runs through DR. We still need to see, what both of those guys are made out of. Next fight up, we got Long Zhao taking on Su Young Yu. Now, I will say, the scales told me a completely different story than the original pick. It almost made me want to pick flip, but I am sticking with Su Young Yu. I think his, Jiu-Jitsu could get him a win here. I do think Long Zhao will probably be the fighter with the physicality advantage. He's pretty intense, man. He's not there to, score points. He's trying to fight. So that's another thing that, can throw some caution into this pick. Long Zhao, he's scrappy. He's always throwing something. The knees in a clinch. It's a really tricky fight. Su Young Yu, his grappling pressure is pretty solid. They've been calling him the Chinese or Korean Habib. I'm not buying it completely, but that win over AJ Cunningham was pretty dominant. Cunningham, he was dropping from 55 all the way down to bantamweight, so I did expect him to have a bit of a strength advantage, but he just got absolutely, rolled basically. Was looking for some submissions, but unable to get it on AJ Cunningham. Just a lot of control time in that fight, peppered him up with some shots, and won a decision. Long Zhao coming off that knockout over Quang Lee, which was pretty impressive, I believe. Yeah, well, obviously that was Quang Lee's first loss, and Quang Lee's not a bad UFC fighter compared to AJ Cunningham, who I believe was 0-3 in the UFC at that point. So it's an interesting matchup. Long Zhao, he's got this loss against Chang Ho Lee. Chang Ho Lee looked pretty, good against Cortavious Romeo his last time out. It's interesting. This is a really interesting matchup, and Su Young Yu's given up a lot in the reach, 5 inches in the reach. I could see Long Zhao, with the pressure, maybe backing Su Young Yu up. It's not a confident pick for me at all. I have to be honest. I could definitely see, Long Zhao landing something that maybe hurts him, but I don't know. This is a yeah, I got a lot of caution on this pick. I'm not confident in it at all. Let's go to the scale so you can see what I'm talking about. Here's Su Young Yu. Looked, pretty decent on the scales. Made weight, no issues. Why did we get to Weston Wilson? Where is Long Zhao? Here's Long Zhao. A little out of order, but this dude is cut up, man. He's cut up for bantamweight division. Can we get the face off? Here we go. You can see the intensity on Long Zhao's face. He looks like he's ready to storm the cage and walk through Su Young Yu. Could be, an interesting matchup. Su Young Yu looked like he got a little bit of a bruise from sparring or something. Who knows? But yeah, I'm not confident in the Su Young Yu side. I am picking him. I think he can. I want to pick Zhao Long. I do. If I was betting, I would probably bet on Zhao Long. I think he's a plus 110 underdog, but again, I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Su Young Yu. Every time that I pick flipped after the weigh-ins, I've lost. So I'm sticking with Su Young Yu, just not super confident at all. Next fight, we got Yiza taking on Weston Wilson. The pick has been Yiza. I don't expect Weston Wilson to land, any strikes from distance with this big of a height advantage, 6'1". Only has a 2-inch reach advantage, but he's not really the striker that, keeps the shots at range or anything. He's more of a grappler. He is a southpaw, but again, he's not a southpaw with pretty significant striking advantages here. And Yiza, who, got pretty much he got beat the hell up against his last fight against Gabriel Santos. His chin held up, got dropped multiple times, but was still able to dog it out and last the entire fight. I gotta, give him some credit for that, for getting beat up. But, he's primarily a grappler too. I don't expect this fight to go to the bell, or, it wouldn't be far-fetched for it to go to the bell, but I don't expect a knockout here. Probably a clubbing sub. Maybe Wilson throws up something crazy, but I'm going with Yiza to find it by submission or decision. But I do like, this fight to end by submission. I want to check the odds on that, actually. Let's do that for you guys. Fight to end by submission. Wrong fight. Fight ends minus 200. Yeah, so book's already all over it. But I do like Yiza. I like his striking a lot better than Weston Wilson's too. And it wouldn't be crazy to see him, hurt Weston Wilson, crumble him, and jump on his back or something of that magnitude. So give me Yiza to win it. Club and sub, submission, decision. One or the other. Here is Weston Wilson. Was a little shaky on the scale. Came in 146, I believe. But again, still a little shaky. Does look pretty, sucked out too. And here is Yiza. Looks pretty solid. You can definitely tell the height advantage for Weston Wilson in the face-off, but Yiza is definitely the more muscular between the two. I do expect him to, shoot across the octagon, get the takedown, probably secure a submission as well. So give me Yiza to get a finish. Next fight, we got Michel Pieta versus Kyle Daukaus. I have been picking Kyle Daukaus. is a bit of a worrisome pick for me because Michel Pieta did look a little reignited. Maybe it's because he has a short notice opponent. Maybe it's because Kyle Daukaus doesn't throw with a lot of power. Maybe it's because he found, his rhythm back. But I'm gonna stick with my pick. I'm gonna go with Kyle Daukaus. I'm gonna ride with him. If I die, I die. It is what it is. I'm gonna go Kyle Daukaus. I think the long shots from him, the jab is pretty decent. I can see him keeping Pieta at bay unless Pieta comes out, the gate guns blazing. Didn't really see much from him in his last two fights. He got dog walked by Anthony Hernandez, but did give Hernandez a little bit of trouble early in the in that first round. Ultimately gassed out, and then the Boost fight he looked pretty flat as well. Kyle Daukaus is a big underdog here. I do like, his run that he's been on. Granted, it's not against, elite competition, but just for him to get, kicked out of the UFC, off of 2 knockouts against pretty solid competition and then go on a 4-fight win streak is a bit of a yellow flag that, he hasn't fought in a year, but I have seen him training and preparing for a comeback. So could be interesting, the reinvigorated Kyle Daukaus to come back, find a W over Michel Pieta on short notice. Pretty hell of a story here. It does have the height and reach advantage. I like Kyle Daukaus, man. On short notice against Michel Pieta, it is a tall task, but I think he can get it done. So give me the Darce Knight to find a W some way, somehow. Here's Daukaus. Never been, super ripped or anything like that. Looked pretty normal on the scales. I guess. Here's Pereira. Did look, like I said, like he found the fire again. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I'm gonna ride with the Darce Knight, man. Here's the face off. You can see the height for Daukaus here. Yeah, I'm gonna ride with him, man. I'm gonna ride with him. Maybe Pieta knocks him out in the first round. Maybe he, drops Daukaus and Daukaus throws up a triangle or finds his way back up, with his back on the cage, and Michel Pieta shoots for a takedown, get his neck caught. Who knows? There's some weird stuff that can happen in this fight. Michel Pieta is a character of a fighter, so we can never well, recently we can't count on him to dig deep. So give me Kyle Daukaus, the Darce Knight, to find it again. Next fight, we got Rong Zhu versus Austin Hubbard. I've been picking Rong Zhu all week. I'm rocking with Rong Zhu. And after seeing him on the scales, I don't believe the height is, I don't believe Rong Zhu is 5'9". He looked a lot taller than 5'9". Looked like he's damn near 6 feet. But like I said, Austin Hubbard, solid chin, solid kickboxing, does have some wrestling in his arsenal, but Rong Zhu's pretty experienced to only be 25 years old, and this is his second UFC run. Big upset over Cody Steele last time out, was dropping him left and right. The combinations were flowing pretty smoothly, and Austin Hubbard last time out struggling against Markel Medeiros, who is a switch hitter, but I feel as though Rong Zhu's kickboxing is a little better than Markel Medeiros. Is. Rong Zhu, I feel as though he has a bit more power than Markel Medeiros as well, and he can definitely, box in the pocket with Austin Hubbard. I don't see Austin Hubbard taking him down for extended periods of time. Rong Zhu does have pretty good footwork. I can see him, escaping shots, and I'm going with the younger, not necessarily fresher, but younger fighter to find a W over Austin Hubbard. Could be, I do expect a decision. I think Austin Hubbard's chin is going to hold up here. But who knows, Rong Zhu does crack pretty well. But I am going with Rong Zhu to win. Here's Austin Thud Hubbard on the scales. Looked pretty solid. He's got a big nose, big target, man. And here is Rong Zhu. Looks long. It looks long here. 155, no issues. Here's the face-off. This is what I'm talking about. He does not look 5'9". He looked like the larger man in this face-off. Head is significantly larger as well. Could be a big target. Could be, he's just more powerful. But I am expecting Rong Zhu to get a unanimous decision win over Austin Hubbard. Next fight up, we got Lonnie KAVANAGH taking on Charles Johnson. I've been on Charles Johnson all week. I like him as an underdog here, and I expect him to teach Lonnie KAVANAGH a veteran lesson. Lonnie KAVANAGH, Does have, pretty good speed on his strikes. Really good striker. I can't, deny him of that. Does throw some pretty good high kicks. Does have wrestling in his back, in his back pocket. But I feel as though this is just too far up the rankings for him. Too early. He's only got 9 fights. He's fighting the number 15th ranked fighter in the world. Where Charles Johnson, last time out fought Ramazan Temirov, who popped hot for steroids. Got pulled out of his fight with Asu Amabayev. That's why we had Jose Ochoa as the lock of the week about 3 fight cards ago now. Ended up, losing on that. But Charles Johnson is he's a different beast, man. He was on a 4-fight win streak prior to that loss against Temirov, which I feel as though should be wiped from his record because pretty sure Temirov, I don't think he popped hot for it at the time of their fight. I think it was right after. And then they tested him right before the Asu Amabayev fight. But I feel as though that should just be a no contest. You know what I'm saying? If a guy pops hot right after your fight, it's a little sketchy for me. But Charles Johnson, he's been in the UFC for a while. The kickboxing from him is solid. He's got a really good gas tank. He normally turns it on in the 3rd round. Loner Kavanagh was getting stung up by Felipe Dos Santos, who I don't rate highly at all last time out. Had to resort to wrestling. I don't see him, taking Charles Johnson down with ease here. I like Charles Johnson's, footwork, his ability to escape takedowns. He can roll with you on the mat if he needs to, too. He's pretty solid all around. So I got to go with my man NURGOZHAY to teach Loney Kavanagh a welcome to the UFC lesson. Let's get to the scales. Here's Charles Johnson. Cut up, made weight, 126, no issues. Here's Kavanagh, made weight, no issues. But wait till you see the face-off. Significantly larger than Kavanagh. He looks like a boy versus a man. I'm going with Charles Johnson. Teach him a lesson. Put this kid right back in his place. Not that I, have a disdain for Kavanagh, but it's just a figment of speech, whatever you want to call it. Give me Charles Johnson, man. Plus 200 on the money line, too. Could be a little bit of an alt play for the lock of the week. I'm really confident in the lock of the week, but I'm telling you now, it was either Charles Johnson or Waldo Cortez. So. Next fight, featured fight of the night. We got Maheshate taking on Gage Young. I really like this fight. This is probably, contender for fight of the night, honestly. I could see this being, I'm not sure if I said it already, but the Nazim Sadikov versus, what's his name? Moda fight. I could see, that fight playing out similar to this. I do favor Gage Young in the pocket from distance. I favor Maheshate. I feel as though Gage Young has the faster kicks. Maybe Maheshate has the faster hands. I think Gage Young could possibly have a little bit more thud. In that fight against Evan Elder last time out, he did look good in the 3rd round. Evan Elder was sucking one a little bit. The body kicks were doing some damage. Definitely seen Evan Elder, slowing down. I think if Gage Young could, get in the pocket early, maybe if he stays at range, he's going to have to throw that body kick all day. And he's going to have to do some damage to Maheshate's body. Drop those hands. Maybe it could open up a shot up top. It's not like we haven't seen, Maheshate knocked out before. Could definitely happen again. I feel as though this fight is probably going to be off to a quick start because Gage Young does close distance pretty fast and he likes to be in your face and he's throwing his shots pretty, quickly. So I do like Gage Young here. I think he could get a sneaky win. I think it's going to be, contender for fight of the night. So give me Gage Young here for a sneaky little, I don't think it's really an upset because he's the favorite here, minus 130. But, welcome to the UFC. Not welcome to the UFC, but yeah, his welcome to the UFC moment because he would get his first win. Here's Gage Young on the scales. Looks solid. Look pretty good. Here is Maheshate, who I have to admit definitely looked a lot better on the scale. He's ripped. He's jacked. He's cut up. He looks really good. Here's the face-off. You can see the height difference. It's not like Gage Young hasn't seen a taller fighter before, but Maheshate in the pocket is just, a bit of a red flag for me. So I got to go with the guy who's better in the pocket, who's quicker in the pocket. The body kicks, are pretty explosive from him too. I do like his speed. His speed was a little bit of a factor in that Evan Elder fight, which was, something that I said during that matchup that could give Evan Elder some issues, and it definitely did. Elder was just, able to dog it out ultimately, but I think this is a winnable fight for Gage Young, so I like him to pull through. Opening up the main card, if you haven't already, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. We got, I forgot how they said his name correctly, but I believe it's Talyalik NURGOZHAY versus Kiefer Crosbie. I am picking the debuter NURGOZHAY here versus Kiefer Crosbie. I just need to see a little bit more from him. You know what I'm saying? A lot of competition outside of the UFC. 1-1 guy was a knockout. You know, he did what he needed to do. But again, not much really to work with here. You know, he's not super active as far as fights go. Hasn't fought in a year, but this is a pretty good, you know, debuting fight against Kiefer Crosbie, who really should look into you know, bare knuckle boxing, because he's primarily a boxer here. I don't really see much development to his skill set. Doesn't have much of a ground game either. NURGOZHAY is developing, you know, some submission threats. Does he take the path of least resistance and, you know, take Kiefer Crosbie down and submit him? I don't know, because this guy likes to walk forward and just bang. So it could just be a brawl, you know. I feel like this fight and the Zhang Manshate fight are definitely going to be competing for fight of the night. With the, you know, with the way that those guys fight and the way that NURGOZHAY fights, it could be interesting. Maybe he gets a knockout, maybe he gets a submission, but I do expect him to get a finish. I don't think Kiefer Crosbie is going to turn him away in his UFC debut, so I'm gonna go with the new guy. He's a heavy favorite though, -500 plus 370 for 360 for Kiefer Crosbie. I get it. But again, I need to see a little bit more. But let's get to the scales. Here's Kiefer Crosbie. Looks solid. Looks solid. Really can't, you know, deny him on the scale. Here is NURGOZHAY. He's pretty tall. He's a pretty tall kid, man. Here's the face-off. Crosbie a little bit more muscular, but NURGOZHAY. What's the reach for this guy? 75 inches to 70. 6'2", 5'11". Yeah, he's a pretty tall welterweight, man. Pretty tall welterweight. 75 inches could definitely work from here. From the tape that I've seen, doesn't really work a jab. It's just more explosive striking. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting to see how he closes distance with Crosbie. But I am gonna pick NURGOZHAY to get it done. I'll say he knocks him out. Maybe club and sub. Maybe knockout. It's just what does he does he switch it up and go for the sub? I don't know, because Kiefer Crosbie has been subbed up a few times. I'm gonna pick NURGOZHAY. I'm not gonna give you a method. Yeah, I'll just go with NURGOZHAY. Next fight, we got MADERJI versus Kevin Borjas. I have been picking Borjas, and I feel as though it could look similar to the Manshate Zhang fight, where, you know, the other guy is just a little better in the pocket. Kevin Borjas is faster than MADERJI on the feet. He rips the low kick pretty well, rips the body pretty solid too. Does have some wrestling in his background. This is gonna be an interesting fight. MADERJI does, you know, have a decent get up game. Was able to, you know, reverse position and throw up a submission against Charles Johnson in their fight. And then the Matt Schnell fight, you know, they went at it pretty solid, and he threatened a submission, I want to say, in that fight before Matt Schnell found the finish. Got subbed up by Tim Elliott, but you can't really, you know, deny that, or you can't really, you know, hurt him for that loss. Tim Elliott just finished Kaya Sakura last week, and, you know, these aren't bad losses at all. Just got a win over Mitch Raposo, where I felt as though it was pretty one-sided of a fight, but ended up being a split decision. I want to say he, you know, wasn't really managing distance well, so I can kind of understand it. Mitch Raposo is tiny though for this division, man. Let's look at Mitch Raposo. I want to say he's what? Yeah, he's 5'5" with a 64.5-inch reach. And, you know, MADERJI chose to clinch with him a few times. It was a little weird. If he's deciding to do that with Kevin Borjas, I can see him stinging him up, ripping combinations, tagging the body, and then going upstairs. Maybe he rocks MADERJI. It's not like we haven't seen him rock before. You know what I'm saying? Could be interesting. Definitely could be interesting. I think Kevin Borjas can do enough to outpoint him. Reminds me of a smaller Daniel Marcos. Maybe not as clean, but definitely has, you know, the same type of aura as the fighting style goes. Both of them are from Peru, if you don't know. But yeah, I do like Kevin Borjas to get a decision win here. It's gonna be really quick though. I mean, really close. Let's get to the scales. Here's Borjas looking straight chino with the shaved head. No facial hair. It's crazy, man. You gotta have some facial hair. I know a lot of. I'm gonna keep my comments to myself. But no facial hair is kind of crazy. I wouldn't say he had a mustache before. Here's MADERJI. Looks good on the scale. Here's the face off. You can see the height advantage. I think Kevin Borjas can close the distance fairly well. I do say early, MADERJI is going to look possibly a little quicker from outside. Look for the kicks. Definitely think he's going to attack the legs of Borjas, but I think he could check it and close distance, get inside, and touch the body, work the body for MADERJI. And I think Kevin Borjas could pull a decision win off. Probably, 2-1. Don't see him walking through MADERJI at all, but it's a really good matchup. Really like this fight. I'm going with Borjas. Featured fighter tonight, we got Sergey Pavlovich versus Lock of the Week, Salsa Boy, Waldo Cortes-ACOSTA. You already know how I feel about this fight. I feel as though Waldo is a more evolved MMA fighter. I feel as though he's incorporated way more tools to his tool bag than Sergey Pavlovich has. Sergey, he likes to walk forward. His feet are going to be facing Waldo Cortes. He doesn't, he's just walking forward and throwing bombs. That's really what he relies on. I know he won against Jairzinho Rosenstrike, but Rosenstrike is another guy who hasn't really matured his skill set either. He's just kickboxing, no takedown defense, no wrestling offense from him. Doesn't really set things up. I mean, he's a solid kickboxer, don't get me wrong, but it's just a one-dimensional fighter. When we look at Waldo, he's incorporated wrestling. He's incorporated the low kicks. The boxing is already there. Can throw power. Can switch it up, switch level or change levels. I think Waldo Cortes wins this fight by decision, man. I don't think he's going to be standing in front of Pavlovich, letting him wail off on him. I think he's going to be too movement-based for Sergey Pavlovich. Pavlovich isn't going to be able to load up and, let the bombs go. Could look a little similar to the Volkov fight. I don't expect him throwing a lot of kicks, because Volkov has such a, length advantage as far as a leg length goes. I know Pavlovich had the longer arms, but Volkov clearly had the longer legs. But I do see Waldo, ripping low kicks on Sergey a lot throughout this fight, especially early. And if Pavlovich can't check him like he wasn't able to check the Volkov leg kicks, could be a long night for Pavlovich. So give me Waldo to stick and move and win a decision here and keep climbing the heavyweight ranks. Could be an interesting matchup for him at the top. You never know. Here is the scale. Salsa Boy came in at 262. Looks pretty solid. Looks, in pretty good shape for a heavyweight. Let's be fair. And here's Sergey. He looks a little thinner. That chin could be a little thinner too. It's not like we haven't seen him put out before. He came in at 255, made weight, obviously no issues. But, you can definitely tell he took this fight serious. It's not a walk in the park for either one of these gentlemen. But I am going with Salsa Boy to win. I think he can sting him up. I think, maybe another knockout is live. You never know. We've seen Sergey put out. I don't think Waldo's going to be standing there for Sergey to unload on him. So give me Waldo Cortes-ACOSTA, lock of the week. Plus 195, and the line has even, spread a little bit more for you if you still want to get in. I'm telling you now, plus 215 actually is the right line. Get in on Waldo while you can, bro. I'm telling you now. Waldo Cortes-ACOSTA, lock of the week. Lock it in. Co-main event of the evening, we got Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling at a catch weight of 153 pounds. Because Brian Ortega, unfortunately, made a trip to the hospital and somehow was cleared to make weight within 15 minutes. And now we still have a co-main event. Now, the one thing that I want to show you, I really don't need to go into details about the excuse me, the fight. I really want to show you Brian Ortega walking to this to the face-off, because that was very scary to watch. He did not look like he needs to be fighting under 24 hours. Didn't need to be. It definitely didn't look like he needed to be there. I feel as though they kind of forced him to fight, man. Here is Brian Ortega walking out. Definitely looked like he was about to pass or fall over. I don't know how he got cleared to fight, but somehow he did. I am going with Aljamain Sterling, and I have to say, Aljamain Sterling inside the distance is making more and more sense to me. Brian Ortega, it's not like we haven't seen him miss weight before or pull out from fights before. Pulled out because of the Diego Lopez. I feel like he fell sick. Yeah, he fell sick right before that fight. That's when Diego ended up fighting Dan Ige on like 45 minutes notice. Where else did he pull out? Torn ACL for Ching Song Zhang. There was another fight that I remember recently where he fell out. Um, well, he got injured in a Yair fight, but again, man, it's been a rough 3 years for Brian Ortega. Getting hurt, getting sick. He's been talking about moving up to 155. It still looked like 155 was tough for him to make. So I don't know, man. It might be, it might be Brian's body telling him that he can't do it anymore. But I feel as though I could see Aljamain landing something weird, and we see Brian Ortega possibly unconscious. Maybe club and sub. Maybe Aljo gets the knockout that he's been looking for. Aljo isn't like a big puncher or anything like that, but maybe he does what he does maybe he does to Brian what he did to, a TJ Dillashaw. I could definitely see that happening. I think Brian Ortega is going to fade pretty fast with this bad weight cut, leaving the hospital as well. It could get nasty early. But here's Aljo. Did make weight 145. Then, he rehydrated to 153. Dude is massive, bro. He probably cuts from like, I want to say when he was making bantamweight, he definitely cut down or from like 170. He's walking around like 170. So this is a big dude, and I feel as though he's gonna have the strength and wrestling advantage all throughout the entire fight. Don't expect this to go past 3 rounds, honestly, with Ortega looking the way he did. Here's Ortega. Looks bad. He looks really bad on the scales, bro. Came back from the hospital and looked like a zombie walking up against Aljamain, and Aljamain looks like he means business. He's not, sugarcoating it by any means necessary. I feel as though he's gonna fight Brian Ortega like it's a Brian Ortega at 100%. So could get a little funky for your boy T City, but I am going with Aljo. I might even go Aljo inside the distance. So yeah, that's gonna be the official pick. Aljo inside the distance. I'm gonna pick it for you here, and then we'll go. KO, TKO. I think clubbing. Yeah, I'm gonna go clubbins or I'm gonna go I'm gonna go TKO. Damn, I can't even speak right now. I think it's gonna look similar to the TJ Dillashaw finish, where he's just on top of him and throwing, some bombs. Give me Aljo for a knockout. Main event of the evening. If you haven't already, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. We got Mingyang Zhang taking on Johnny Walker. Mingyang Zhang, first round knockout. Johnny Walker's chin is flimsy as all hell. Mingyang Zhang is an accurate striker with a lot of power. Young, athletic, can do it all. Johnny Walker has been pulling out of fights recently. Pulled out of the Guskov fight because his body failed him. Pulled out of the Azamat Mrzakana fight, which was 2 months ago because his body failed him. Now he's fighting Mingyang Zhang in China. Made a long trip just to get knocked out again. I can't, believe in Johnny Walker. He got knocked out in sparring, or knocked down in sparring against a welterweight. I think it's just time for Johnny. I really think Johnny Walker should move up to heavyweight. He's a freak of nature at 6'6", 82-inch reach. I feel as though if he just puts on, all he's got to do is put on 10 more pounds, even if or just don't cut weight. He can go up to heavyweight. And I feel as though his chin will be a little better up at heavyweight. There ain't really super amazing strikers at heavyweight. I feel as though he could have a little bit of success there and, probably rejuvenate his career. He's 33, cutting all this weight is probably not good for him anyway. Who knows what he really walks around? He probably walks around like 230. So he should definitely, move up to heavyweight. I feel as though he'll have a little bit of success there and extend the life of his chin, of his brain, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So Johnny Walker, if you see this, after you get knocked out, move up to heavyweight, please, man. Because we don't want to see you. Don't get me wrong. Some of us do, but for your own health, I feel as though he should move up to heavyweight. But give me Mingyang Zhang, first round knockout. I feel as though that's the only way that this fight is going to go. Here's Mingyang, looked sharp, ready, and definitely ready to knock out Johnny Walker. Here's Johnny. Dude is a freak, man. I can't, stun him, but that chin is just glass. Here's the face-off. Definitely got a little bit more intense to this. They were face-to-face. They tried to break him up, but Mingyang Zhang was like, yo, chill out. Like, he's not worried about this guy. So I do like Mingyang Zhang, first round knockout. Don't believe Johnny Walker's chin is going to hold up for 5 whole minutes. I think Mingyang Zhang is going to come and put it on him super early. So that is the predictions. Let's get to my favorite section, your favorite section, the parlays. First up, we got Zhang, Aljo, over 2.5, Johnson versus Kavanaugh, plus 119. Then we got Yiza versus Wilson, fight to end by submission. Su Young Yu, who I'm a little streaky on right now, but I'm gonna stick with him. Money line, plus 154. Aljo decision. You know what? We might I think we might swap that. We might swap that for Aljo KO and Zhang KO. Let's check what the odds are on Aljo KO. That's why you don't screenshot and bail, because we got live plays going on. Aljo KO is Aljo KO. Or you know what, let's just go inside the distance, plus 155. So Aljo and Zhang, I should have just went to best fight odds because they have the parlay builder. Zhang KO, let's add it here. And Aljo inside the distance. We got, if I could find the line, forgive me. Where's inside the distance? They don't have it? I know they have it. Plus 155. Here we go. Oh, they got it plus 225. What book is this? This is Betway. Not available on FanDuel or anything like that, but plus 360 rather than plus 198. So we're going Aljo inside the distance, Zhang KO for plus 360. So remember that. Waldo, Zhang KO plus 270. Aljo, Zhang KO, Charles Johnson plus 423. Johnson and Waldo, two underdogs, two of my favorite underdogs in the lock of the week, plus 650. Then Zhang KO, Waldo, and Johnson plus 980. Really like these plays, especially with the swap for Aljo inside the distance. I think Brian Ortega isn't going to last 5 rounds. So give me those plays. We're coming back with vengeance. UFC Shanghai early in the morning, making some money. 3 a.m. If you guys aren't waking up at 3 a.m., I understand it. This isn't, a super packed fight card. It does have some solid fights, but again, we got a week off next week. Just wake up. Just wake up and watch the fights, man. What else do you got to do at 3 in the morning other than sleep and beat your meat? Because you guys are freaks out there, I already know. But make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I will be doing the full card recap at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So, you'll have a full day to watch the recap that I put out for you guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys after the card is complete. Deuces.